Okay, so how did 90 for 90 come about?
Well, after I was retired from the State Department, I kept involved with the local politics in Virginia, Richmond, Chesterfield, Henrico, some of the surrounding counties. Our idea was that if the party is going to be successful, it's a majority party in the legislature, that we have to have candidates to build a party. That was not the philosophy of the people who run the Democratic Party. Their idea was that we will only support candidates that we think they can win. But you have to have candidates to get mobilized Democrats to come out and build a party, even though you may lose some elections. You're stronger and stronger, and your candidates are stronger. And people who are Democrats, if you don't give them someone to vote for, we're disenfranchising them, you know. That means that they don't have anybody to vote to represent them. And I thought that was ridiculous, you know, that you're trying to build a Democratic Party and you don't give the Democrats an opportunity to express their views with the Democrats, with Democratic candidates, you're never going to build a party. So we were working along that line that we have to encourage candidates to run, and this is what we started doing. And as a result of my involvement, a group of friends developed to believe the same thing that I believed, and we were all working together, and they were the ones that wanted to do something for my 90th birthday. And they wanted to have some type of celebration, and my son said, I don't think he would want that. Let me check and find out what he would like for us to do. So I told him, well, it's my 90th birthday, there are 2,500 precincts in Virginia. If we could get 90 new voters in each precinct, we would pick up 250,000 new voters. So they latched on to that, and they started the website 90 for 90, and they were able to invite progressive candidates to sign on. And as a result of that, it has grown. Because of the exposure that they get on the website 90 for 90, many of them are getting contributions from areas out of their jurisdiction or out of the areas that they're running. So it has been kind of successful in that it has enhanced voter registration, not only in Virginia, but some of the other states have picked up on it, and they're doing the same thing. So it's beginning to spread, and as a result of that, we're able to get more and more candidates to get exposure on the website, and hopefully that we can get them in touch with people and organizations that will be able to help them financially.
Mm-hmm. So were you kind of surprised when it started taking off?
Yes, I was. And we have a good person, Brenda Hill, who's managing the website. So I think that was the key to it, having a good webmaster, and working with my son, who's asking candidates to join. I think the response has been terrific.
And would you like to see this kind of go more nationwide as far as the goal?
We are inviting people throughout the nation to join, and if you visit the website, you'll see that many candidates from a lot of states are there, particularly Florida, California, Colorado. We have some Utah, North Dakota, South Dakota.
I'm on there.
Yeah. And several from other states, particularly on the East Coast, and North Carolina, Tennessee, so it's beginning to spread. So every time we hear somebody who's running for public office, that we know that unfortunately throughout the United States, the Democratic Party is not interested in helping people that they don't think they can win. We call them orphan candidates because the party kind of neglects them. So we feel that they are the ones that require the help, because many of them are first-time candidates, have no idea of how to run a campaign, and all that they hear is that, well, if you raise $250,000 or $500,000 we may support you, you know. So we feel that if you're properly organized, you don't need that much money. Organization is the main thing. And this is why we are telling the candidates that the first thing they have to do is to identify all of the Democrats that they know, put them on the master spreadsheet, organize them by precincts, and go into each precinct and set up a team in each precinct, because that's where the voters are. That's where the energy is, and that's where the Democrats are. The Democrats are not in the Democratic committee. The Democrats are in the precinct, so don't waste your time with the committee if they're not going to help you. They're more of an obstacle, and a lot of times they discourage good people from running because they don't think they can win. But we think everybody has a chance to win if they declare themselves as a candidate. And this is our philosophy as to how to build a party.
That's very good. The Supreme, I just want to go back to what you were talking about when you were organizing people to get registered to vote in the 1950s here in Virginia.
Right.
A couple of years ago, the Supreme Court ruled that the Voting Rights Act was no longer necessary because racial bias had been overcome.
Right.
What do you say to the justices that
Well,
ruled that?
they didn't know anything about what was going on the ground. And they unfortunately, they try not to get involved in politics, so they're a little ignorant of what the opposition is out there to blacks voting. And once they made that decision, immediately we have reverted back to the Jim Crow days.
A lot of the southern states have passed very
Not
restrictive
only
laws.
southern states, but northern states too, you know, and they've all set up obstacles, you know, ID, photo ID, making it more difficult for college students to register. A lot of obstacles out there. Passing laws, anti-abortion laws, you know, vaginal probe to see the age of the baby and all of that stuff, or the fetus. So they're not only against voting rights, but against human rights. And so they opened the floodgates so that we can revert back to the Jim Crow days of 1902, really.
Did you want to weigh in on what you think of the presidential election?
Well, I'm a Democrat, and I support the Democrats, and it's going to be a very close race. If the Democrats are organized properly and they have a plan, we can win. But it depends on how they coordinate their efforts. I have been one to say that we have to run as a team, you know, from the lowest Democratic office to the highest, and we all have to support one another. And the way it works is that everybody who runs for public office runs from a set of precincts. And these precincts are permanent, you know, they're forever. So the idea, if you go in once and organize these precincts, they work for everybody who's running. If the Democrats organize all of the precincts in a state, even if you're running for the Board of Supervisors from 7 precincts, it's just as important for you to get those people out of that 7 as it is for the person who's running for governor who's running for 2,500 precincts. So if you have enough people running for the Board of Supervisors, you have all of the precincts covered. So that means all of the votes coming from these 100 people running for the Board of Supervisors are going up to the top. So the top benefits by the number of people that you're running at these lower levels. Board of Supervisors, City Councils, House of Delegates, State Senate, State Congressional Districts, all the way up to the top. So the top of the pyramid benefits by the activities at the bottom of the pyramid. That's where the voters are, that's where the energy is that runs campaigns, and that's where the money comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So if you organize the base of the pyramid, you don't have to worry about the top.
What would you say to maybe a young African American or a minority person of color in Richmond or Maryland or anywhere in the country, maybe looking at what's going on with Black Lives Matter, what would you say to them as far as they might say that the system doesn't work, why get involved? What would you say to them about getting involved?
Well, as I said, it doesn't work if you don't work it.
Uh-huh.
You know, and this is what happens. I don't care where you are, you can make a difference. And whether you're in a mixed neighborhood or all ethnic group or all group, it doesn't matter. You can be effective wherever you are. And this is why I'm saying we're closest to the politicians who run for school board, who run for county board of supervisors, city council. These are the people that affect your everyday life immediately and every day. So if you get involved there, regardless of your race or regardless of the makeup of the community, you are part of the community. You are the people that we talk about when we say of, by, and for the people. No, but you are the by the people. We forget about the by the people part of it. For, of the people, by the people, and for the people. We think about for the people, but it's not for somebody to do something for us, it's by the people. We're the ones who have to make it active and have to make it going. So if democracy is to survive, it's going to take each one of us to do our little part within the precinct that we live in. Because as that spreads, you get more and more power. So you do make an effect. A lot of elections are run by 10 votes. You know, recently, more and more elections are being won by a smaller number of votes. So your vote does count, and you have to get involved if you want to save the democracy. You can sit on the sidelines and complain, but you can't bring about change unless you bring it about yourself.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I think that's about it.
Okay. All right. Well, let me just ask you, what did you do in the State Department? What was your role there?
Well, I was what they call a regional medical officer. The State Department has a medical corps. At that time, there were about 35 doctors stationed throughout the world at embassies. And we covered a region. For instance, you would cover several states and several smaller countries, and you would have to travel around and talk to the people who worked for the United States government stationed overseas, find out if they had medical problems. If the problems could be taken care of locally, we would. If they had to be evacuated back to the States, we would.
So it was like practicing as a doctor just
Right.
for the State Department?
Right.
Okay. Let's see. Anything else? So is your son that's helping you, is he helping you strictly for 90 for 90, or is he political too?
No, he's not active as a candidate, but he is political. Yes, he is very active in politics.
And he became a doctor as well?
Right, yes.
What kind of...
He's emergency room.
Oh, wow.
Emergency room.
He's on the front line.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Reid, Dr. Fergie Reid, thank you so much for your service to the country, to organizing and getting people to vote, and for helping Doug Wilder become the first African-American governor, but most importantly for continuing the dialogue about the need to get people active and registered to vote with 90 for 90, and that's 90for90.com.
.org.
.org. 90for90.org.
Yes.
Okay. Make sure I have that on the
Right.
video and everything.
Right.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's talk about your campaign.
You really want to talk about that? All right, I'll keep it going. Go ahead.
Well, you don't have to tell everybody. You don't have to keep